put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before. Throw your whole self into it. All you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do.
Welcome to Burning the Ships. Today, I have a very exciting guest by the name of Caitie Foster. She is 19 years old, and she'll get into her story, and we'll have a in-depth conversation around what she does for her business. But prepare to be blown away by some of the numbers she shares and kind of her trajectory with the business that she does. She's in the kind of live auction clothing and fashion niche, and she uses the app What's Not. For those that haven't heard of that, it's a very popular app where folks can do live auctions essentially. And she has absolutely blown up her business. And I am very good friends with her father. I went to high school with her dad, Corey. And for years, or last several years, my mom, she kept asking me, have you seen what Corey's daughter is doing, with these online auctions and stuff? And I honestly just kind of blew it off. I didn't know what it was, didn't understand it. I was like, okay, that sounds great. And I think within the last year or so, I asked Corey one day, we had met for lunch or something, or maybe talking on the phone. I said, my mom keeps talking about what your daughter is doing with these online sales. And he starts sharing a little bit of detail, and he didn't really understand the full details of it, but it was very clear to me that this was a legit business that was doing a very high volume in sales and revenue and things like that. This wasn't just a teenager with a little side hustle. So she goes into detail on this episode about that, and be prepared because she is a ball of energy. All the energy you can imagine from a 19-year-old, she has it, but she's got the wisdom and maturity and the business savvy of anybody my age or older. And I was blown away to hear her story and her embracing this world of technology and social media and things like that. And she is just taking it by storm and has developed a brand. I think her Instagram, she's organically built a following of over 60,000 people on Instagram. She hadn't bought any followers. That's just what she has built herself. And she's only been on there for a few years. So buckle up and get ready for a fantastic story from Caitie Foster, talking about her business and her life, which has been a very short one so far. But her business that she launched at 12 years old, she's now 19 and has a more successful business than most people out there trying to do anything. So with that, we'll get it going and start the episode with Caitie Foster. Welcome to Burning the Ships, Caitie Foster. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm so glad this worked out. We've been communicating for a while, trying to get you on here, and we had a snow day here in Virginia today. So your schedule opened up, and I had a cancellation for another podcast. So the stars aligned and we were able to work it out. So thank you for hopping on. And I am super intrigued by your story. And I think, a lot of our listeners, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, real estate folks, business people that listen. And I think some folks are going to be blown away by your story. And I'll go ahead and kick it off with the fact that you are 19 years old. And what we're about to dive into is going to blow some people's mind, because you've created an absolute monster with a business that you have that I can't say I have fully wrapped my head around everything you're doing. So
Me neither.
Okay, that's perfect. But I'm excited to kind of hear it live with all of our listeners as well, what you have going on. But what I'm going to do to kind of kick things off, I'm going to turn it over to you and let
Okay.
you just introduce yourself at a high level, and then I'm going to pepper you with questions because I got a bunch of them. So
Okay.
take it away.
Sounds good. All right. Hi everyone. My name's Caitlin. I get called Caitie, and my company is called Caitie Co. I started reselling back in middle school. I was like reselling stuff from like my mom's closet, like old clothes. So I was like 12, probably about to turn 13 when I started listing old clothes on Poshmark. And then over the course of like the next couple years, I did business classes and I was just like, I just loved it. Like it was honestly a hobby because everyone else my age was like doing sports and just like, I just didn't like mess with that.
Right.
So I was just like, well, it kind of got to a point where I would like stop reselling for like a couple months, then I'd come back to it. So it was kind of on and off for like a couple years, like middle high school. And I would like always come back to it because it was just like something for me to do. And so I was taking entrepreneurial studies classes for like a couple years in high school, and I was building the business plan of Caitie Co. And the original business plan was not what it turned into, but I mean, same kind of idea. Um, so by the time I turned 17, I wanted to graduate early because I hated school. And I just like was like, no way will I go to college. No way will I be in school any longer than I have to. So I graduated a year early. I did summer classes. I graduated in 2022 at 17. From there, I was nannying for a family. And I was also doing just like the reselling on the side. I had like a goal to make like I think like $300 a day, and I was happy about that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I noticed that like live selling was starting to make a shift to the US because it's been in China and it's been really big over there. Like there's this one lady's doing like 1 million in sales in like a couple hours over there. It's insane. So anyways, Poshmark, this like reselling app, which most people have heard about, they started live selling and they only had it available for Poshmark ambassadors. And I was a Poshmark ambassador because of like how much I had sold on there and blah 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 whatever. So it opened up for Poshmark ambassadors, and I immediately was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" Like I had seen other people doing it, and I was like, "Okay, this is cool. Like I want to get in on this." So I applied, I was accepted, and like I did my first show like the second I was accepted. I think I did like $500 in sales, and I was like, "This is crazy! Like this is crazy! Like this is gonna be big." And from there I started buying like liquidation because at the beginning I was just like driving to the thrift store every day and just like
Okay.
buying inventory, and I was like,
Mhm.
this is not scalable. So then like I bought my first liquidation palette, and it was Free People, which most women would probably know the brand Free People.
Okay.
So I bought my first palette of Free People, was like maybe 500 pieces. I like killed it. I remember, like, I will share this, like I did make like $1,000 in profit from like a 3-hour show, and I was like, wait, like I knew like my life was like changed in that
And
moment.
you're 17, right?
I was
At this point?
17,
Okay. Got it.
and I'm doing like, I was making like $1,000 a day every day,
Mhm.
and I was like, this is crazy. So I immediately like signed a lease on an apartment, moved out because it was just like too much to be running it out of my parents' house. Like they love me, but they were like, this is a lot because like it was a lot.
Right.
And like my mom would drive my packages to the post office every day, and like I was just doing it all myself. I was doing the show and I was packing the orders either late at night or I do it early in the morning. And then it just slowly started to scale up from there. So instead of doing like 100 items a day, I was selling 200 items a day, and then whatever. Or instead of doing like an hour show, I was doing like a 4-hour show. And then like on Black Friday, we did a $75,000 show, and it was insane. I was live for like 8 hours, and like it was so crazy.
So let me pause you there because I want to
Okay.
get into some of the details. When you say a show, so from what I understand, you're doing live auctions. So you have
Yes.
people, I guess, subscribing to your channel essentially. Is
Kind
that
of. They're
correct?
following. It's like I always compare it to QVC, but modern day.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
so I forgot to give that part. So when I was 17, it's literally like the day I turned 18, Whatnot, this app called Whatnot reached out to me. And they were like, we'd love to have you on our platform, blah, blah, blah. So they get me set up over on Whatnot. And I was just able to sell a lot more volume on Whatnot rather than Poshmark. So for the last almost 2 years in March, because I turned 20 in February, but it'll be 2 years in March that I've been on the Whatnot app.
Okay. Yep. And you essentially you're scheduling out to your followers or subscribers or whatever. You're scheduling out on this date. I'll be going live selling these items,
Yeah,
and then
so
they're just getting live. I mean, yeah,
my regular schedule is 7 o'clock Eastern, and then we do pop-up shows, but most of the time people know like I'm live Monday through Friday, and then I normally take off Saturday night, and then I'm back Sunday. Monday through Friday, I'm doing 7 o'clock Eastern, and then I'm live probably from like 7 to 10. Like yesterday it snowed, so I was like, I've got to get on earlier today, and like people follow me on Instagram for the updates,
mhm.
so I got on at 6, and I was only on until 9. Augie, no. I knew my dog was gonna lose
It's
it.
all good. It's all good. So,
Okay.
so there. All right. I am like selfishly curious about the details. So you get on and these auctions, and I didn't understand this piece of it until my mom was explaining because she's bought some stuff from your auctions, but she was explaining like every item is like 10 seconds, like it's a
Yeah.
blip. So kind of go through the logistics of how that works. Like
Okay,
the
I'll walk you through a day of like how it
okay,
all works.
perfect.
So, I have a packing team. Basically my team members are trained in everything that I need done. So they're trained in accepting the shipments, they're trained in unwrapping the shipments, prepping them for the show, packing the orders when the show is finished. So, normally I'll have someone come in from the previous night and pack that show at like 7 a.m. Someone will come in. They'll pack from like 7 to 3, and normally that's how long it takes to pack the whole show. And that's like if I sell 1,000 items, which is kind of what I've been doing the last couple of days. So they'll pack that, and then around like 3 o'clock I'll have like two more people come in. Normally it's like the high schoolers that I employ, and they will start prepping for the next show. So I have racks, and they'll load the racks up with all the clothing that I'm selling for that show. So I'll text them and be like, hey, today we're doing Free People, today we're doing Anthropology, we're doing Quince, whatever brand we're doing. So they'll load it up, and then I don't really come in until my show time unless I have to. So I'll come in right at 7. I'll go live. So what I do is I have a buy it now section, which is kind of more similar to QVC, where it's like I'll be like holding up this hair tie, and I'll be like, I have 1,000 of these hair ties in the buy it now section. They're $1 each. Buy them right now, and then like they'll sell out immediately.
Right.
And that's where like a lot of volume can be moved. And then as for my auction side, the whole time that my buy it now section is selling things, I'm holding an item up every 10 seconds. So I'll be like, all right, we're holding this up. It's a size small, blah, 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 blah. 10 seconds, it's done. I'm holding the next item. This is a size medium. It's a black cashmere sweater. Done. 10 seconds, bam, bam, bam. I'm passing it. So I employ my grandma, and she's the cutest human ever. And so she does the shows with me. And so she's the one I pass the items to. So people will be like, how are you moving so quick? Like where, like they're like, are you throwing these items into a pile? Like where are they going? Because I just keep throwing them off I literally toss them. Like you'll see me
Right.
just toss it. And she's catching it, she's folding it, and then labeling it with a number. It's everything's getting skewed. So like it'll like if you're watching one of my shows, it'll be like pool number. I'll title it like pool, and it'll say like pool number 1, pool number 2, and it just goes in order. So it gets labeled 1 through. Normally I auction 500 items in a night, and then I aim to sell at least a couple hundred items through my buy it now section, which is normally like beauty products, makeup, and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's just like very, very fast. That show ends normally around 10, and then I go home, and so does Nana.
So, all right, that explains a lot. So you're
Yeah.
because I have recently followed you on Instagram, and I'm just blown away. Like you do a good job sharing things that catch attention, and one of them is you'll
Mhm.
share like the print off of all of your orders,
Yeah.
and it's just this roll of, and you just
Yeah.
did that like 50. You did one recently. It was like 1,500 items in 4 hours,
Mhm.
and but and then you'll do a tour of like your warehouse where a tractor trailer is unloading pallets
Yeah.
of items. So it's a high volume. So you didn't just get there overnight. So there had to be this period of time. I know it's scaled very quickly, but where you were doing all the packing and you were doing all the shipping
Yeah.
and all, you didn't have a staff. So walk us through kind of that evolution,
Yeah.
where you were doing it all in house before you got to the employee, portion of it.
Yeah, I would say like I for a while just thought I'll do it all myself and
Yeah.
I'm fine because I never really saw like it's so shocking when you're working at a business for so long and it's not really getting any traction because like honestly after I graduated I was like dang like this isn't going to support the lifestyle I want. So I'm like, I need to either find a rich husband or I don't know. So
Yeah.
I was like kind of thinking like I might get into nursing, like I don't know. And then like all of a sudden, like it kind of blew up. So I was
Yeah.
like, dang, like, so I was just kind of like, I was just doing it all myself for probably like 6 months of the live selling. Cause I mean, when I was just listing stuff, I was only selling like 10 items a day. It was only like a couple hours. It wasn't a big deal. But, like, when I started doing the live selling, it was like, "Oh my god, I'm doing, like, these 5-hour shows where then I'm packing for another 5 hours." So it was, like, 10-hour days for me, and I was like, "Shoot, I'm 17 making $1,000 This is fine, like, it's fine." But
Right.
then, like, your standards get raised a little bit as the more you start making money, and you're like,
Hmm.
"Alright, well, I'd actually rather pay someone this
Yep.
so that I can just sit at home all day." Not necessarily
Yeah.
I don't sit n now what I do all day is I take business calls, I do a lot more social media. I mean, I do stuff for myself, but like I think sometimes my staff probably thinks I do nothing all day, but in reality because of the supply we're doing, it's business relationships, it's being on LinkedIn for hours, like just stuff like that, calling with the suppliers. So, that's kind of what I do now, but yeah, so the shift between that though was I would say I moved in the apartment and I at this point now I've had Nana working for me from the beginning. She's been
Right.
my like
Hmm.
so Nana would like come do the shows with me, help me pack, and then I had my great aunt, her sister helping me for a while. And so that was good. Like we would bang out packing the show within like an hour. Like all three of us working, like it'd be done within an hour.
Right.
But then I move into this house. I moved into like a 3,000 square foot house and I just transformed the whole place into a warehouse.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, okay, well, like possibilities are like a little bit bigger here. Like, then that's when I just kind of like, I think maybe like my dad encouraged it too, just like to get like just more good help. And I was just kind of like, in a lot of ways, they were just like, do this, do this. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I don't know, it's all come so natural to me in a lot of ways. Like, I just stayed really consistent with it. I loved what I did. And then the rest just kind of came.
Right.
And I
And
don't
it's
know, like now, I don't know how, like, it's just, yeah. So now I have just like a couple packers. I don't do any of the orders anymore.
right. Yeah.
So
And
my
that's
only job is making the deals and doing the shows.
that's so wise, whether you realize it now or you realize it a few years from now. But probably one of the biggest contributors to failure in business is burnout, right? So,
Yeah.
and entrepreneurs have this mindset of nobody can do it better than me, so I'm going to do it all myself. And that leads to burnout, which ultimately leads to hating what you're doing, which ultimately leads to failure. And for you to recognize so quickly that the path to scale even bigger is to actually take a step back and do what you're good at. That, whether you
Yeah.
realize you're doing that or not, you're setting yourself up um, for long-term sustainability in this for sure. 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I could go live 8 hours a day every day if I wanted
Yeah.
to. And I could probably like retire in 5 years. But it's not a life to live. And I'm already so content like with my life right now. So like for just the viewers, because you probably know through my dad and stuff, but like I'm 19. I just bought land, like genuinely my dream house. Like it has a barn, it has a pool, like perfect amount of land. It's 2 minutes from my parents, which is like a dream. And like I'm really happy. Like it's a beautiful home. Like I don't want to like brag on it, but most people don't like dream of having like this sort of house at this like at any point in their life, let alone to have it at my age.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like I've been like I was go 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 all the time, and then I feel like when I kind of bought this house and like I had more peace around me, I kind of was like, okay, I want to like I want to do like all these things, and I'm already like I hate to say this, but I'm already making more money than I know what to do with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where I'm kind of like, okay, I can stress myself out, like I can kill myself over it, but ultimately I'm going to be so depressed and so miserable.
Yeah, and you're surrounded by, yeah, I mean, your parents are great
Hmm.
influences, but you're insulating yourself there with some wise people that have made mistakes, right?
Yeah.
In the past, so you can kind of lean on that. But what you're doing, and I'll share this with you. Recently, I heard an interview with, I don't, do you know who Gary Vanderchuck is? Gary V.
Oh,
He,
Gary Vee. Yeah.
yeah.
He's selling on Whatnot now.
Exactly. So he, in an interview, it was a podcast. The guy asked him what he sees over the next 10, 15 years
Yeah.
becoming big,
Hmm.
and just, in wealth creation. And obviously he said things like AI, things like that.
Hmm.
But he said, and he was speaking to like my generation, which I'm about his age, a little bit younger. And he said, most of y'all not heard about Whatnot. He said, but there's this app where people are live selling. He says going to take over America.
Hmm.
And he called them kids. He said the kids that have leaned in on this on
Hmm.
the front end are going to be your billionaires in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And
Yeah.
you are that. You are that.
Hmm.
Like, you're the first person I thought of. And so it kind of validated like the model. And one thing that I know about you that you've done a great job with is you started very young. People are hearing this. She's 19. She just bought her dream house. She's doing all these things. But it didn't just, I mean, it may sound like it happened overnight. It didn't. You started
No,
when you
I
were
mean, it's been
12,
like 7 years now.
right? And you've been able to build these relationships. And I'm not going to ask you to go into detail, but you've been able to build relationships with these distributors, these brands that have allowed you to buy bulk inventory
Hmm.
at a very good price, which allows you to be very profitable with your model. And and we'll keep it high level, but you know, 2024, what was your gross sales, if you don't mind sharing? I know you're very public online with it, but yeah.
So 2024, so it's kind of tricky. So I went, just like to get slightly personal.
Okay.
I dated this guy for 5 years. Brutal, brutal breakup.
Okay.
Had an identity crisis. I went to Canada for 2 months.
Okay. Good
And
for you.
so, so to be fair, I was talking to my dad the other day and he was like, "Oh, what was your sales for 2024?" And I was like, "Oh, it was 3.5 million." I was like, "But 2.5 of it was the last 6 months. And then the first million was the first
Right.
6 months."
Yeah. I mean, that's
So he was like,
unbelievable.
"Oh,
Yeah.
wow."
Right. And
So
even
for
your
that
dad,
reason,
yeah, go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
okay, for that reason, I would say, because I've posted this in videos, starting from like the where it started to peak again was probably like 6 months ago. And so I would say I'm on track this year to do easily 4.5 to 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I could do
And
way more, but this is just super like that's perfect for me. And I can retire off of that in 10 years.
yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, it's it's a niche where you just said it. You could do way more by pulling the lever a little bit harder, doing more shows, doing them
Hmm.
longer blocks of time. But you found this sweet spot where you can have a life, you can have the time for yourself during the day, and do all the. And I think probably, I mean, you can kind of elaborate on this, but you've been able to build a following, like a brand and a following online, because, like,
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't really
yeah,
mean to, but like I feel like every girl my age, they want an Instagram following. And so I was
mhm,
like, oh, well, I'll just post my cute little videos that I do
yeah,
anyways. And then I ended up getting a natural, like none of my followers are bought. And it's not that many followers, but like 60,000 is like that's a decent amount.
yeah, heck
And
yeah,
for social of all social medias, I would say Instagram is the hardest to get a following on. Like because people care about who they follow a little bit more on Instagram. Like TikTok, all these other places, they just follow like randomly. But
right,
I feel like Instagram, like the people are a little more choosy with who they just follow.
yeah,
I mean, through my Instagram alone, I've had 5,000 people sign up for Whatnot to watch
right.
me, like just from my Insta. Like that's a lot of people.
It's
So
great.
yeah, I've had like I grew very naturally because people will be like, "Did you buy your followers?" And I'm like, "No, that's lame."
Yeah,
So, like I've gotten naturally, like I think we're at almost 62,000 followers now, and I've been on Instagram for like a year and a half only.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you're handling, like, you are the one. So I asked this because, like, in our business, we're active on all the social media, but
Mhm.
I couldn't tell you how any of it works. So we have a third party company that we pay to,
Okay.
handle all that for us, and we develop content, but they kind of help us with like ideas on what to do. But you're
I
actually
see.
handling all of that yourself. Is that correct? Or
So I do it all myself because first of all, ChatGPT AI gives me a lot of my ideas for free.
right? Okay.
It's pretty simple. I'll just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm 19. Like, give me a POV of me selling a bunch of items from my house." And then they're like, "Da-da-da," and it's like, perfect.
Yep.
And but anyway, so when I sat down with one of my dad and then one of his other like really successful friends, and I kind of like my perspective changed. Like we're talking like very successful. You probably
Hmm.
know who it is, but
Hmm.
um and well, first of all, I was honored to speak with him, but second, like my mindset changed a lot when I spoke with him, just because I don't know. I kind of decided after that like conversation, like I'm only gonna do things I really enjoy. So I enjoy doing social media, and I enjoy doing the shows, and I enjoy talking to my suppliers. So those are the three things I like to do, and so I don't mind posting on social media because my generation was raised on social media. I've had an
Yeah.
Instagram since I was in second grade. So
Right. Yeah. And I, again, I mean, that you just said, that's one of the like foundational principles in like business 101. Figure it out what you're good at and what you love to, and what you're passionate about, and lean
yeah.
into that, and then build a team around the rest of it. And
Mhm.
like, again, I keep saying it, but you're 19 and you have already figured this out, and
Yeah.
you take a lot of pride. I know it because I do follow you, but you take a lot of pride in being a female CEO, which,
Mhm.
that, and you're young, and you have completely gone against the grain when it comes to what, when I was
Yeah.
19, Caitie, when I was 19, I was at Radford University. I did not know what in the world I was going to do. And here you are, 19, because you've been persistent. You knew what you wanted to do. You knew that you didn't like school. So you said, screw that. I'm going to do something
Mhm.
unconventional. But I'm setting up a question here.
'Kay.
Knowing all that and going through high school and having this unconventional mindset, that had to come with some negatives. It probably came with
I'm
some.
so glad you're asking this because I was
So,
gonna that reminded me of wanting to talk about that.
okay,
I've
yeah.
gotten a
So
lot
talk
of
about it.
hate.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all know about Reddit, and please don't look me up, but there like people will start Reddit threads about me, and I'll just tell you what they say. They call me annoying, they say my voice is annoying. Sometimes my voice gets raspy because if you were to talk for every day for hours,
yeah,
well, I mean, you get it with podcasts and stuff, but like your voice will get raspy. And
right.
especially like in these shows, like I'm trying to be energetic and like keep the energy and the vibes. Ultimately, it's all jealousy, but people will get mad because I post my numbers. They're ultimately just jealous, which is fine. It's bitter old women who didn't have the success, and they're mad because it's
Right,
too late. I'm sorry,
right.
but like that's honestly a lot of like that's a lot of the audience that hates on me.
Yeah.
It's not men because men don't care. They really, I mean, some, I'm sure there's a couple, but most of the time, and it's not people my age because they're not really paying attention. It's most of the time just like women who did not get the success that they wanted in life, and it literally irks them to see me being successful.
So how
So
much
they'll
do you
see it
pay
as
attention to
bragging.
it? How much do you pay attention to that though? Do you
I'm
use it
getting
like, do you look at it and use it as fuel? Do you let it disrupt anything, or like where are you at with that? Because I
it
know a
depends
lot.
on the day.
Okay, okay, right.
Because like if I'm having a bad day, it's like cyberbullying, borderline
Yeah,
cyberbullying some
right.
days. Like I'll go on like I don't normally go on Reddit, but sometimes like a friend will send it to me and they'll be like, "Oh my god." And then I'll be like, "Wow, there's 300 people talking about me." Some people will say I look like a dude. Some people say like they just say the meanest things ever, and I'm like, and genuinely when I post like they'll be like, "Oh, she brags." And I understand where it can come across as bragging sometimes, but like you said, I'm genuinely so prideful in the fact that I'm 19, a woman running a business, that I want like every female to know. Like, I feel very feminist in this aspect because I'm just like, we can do whatever we want. Like, I want to inspire the younger generation. Like, the bitter whatever old women can go away, because I really want to inspire. Like, that's part of what I want to do with my social media. Like, I want the people, like, because I just think about like my sister who's 11 years old. Like, I want to be a role model. I want her to think she can do whatever she wants and be successful at it and beat out every man in this world. And I do like to try. Like, I posted a video the other day and I was like, oh, it was like, because there was a trend. I saw this other girl post like, oh, like dancing so that I distract him from the fact that I'll be the worst financial decision he ever makes. So I was like, oh, dancing to distract them that I'm gonna beat them out in business every single day.
Right.
But like, I like feel so like proud of that, and I just like really want to spread the message of like anything is possible. You can put your mind to anything and you can do it. Like, no matter what cards you were dealt in life. I'm so sick of that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I hate when people are like, oh, you were privileged. My parents did not give me a single dollar to start my business. I had about $2,000 saved up in my account when I bought my first liquidation deal, like pallet. I spent every single dime, cleared my account, banked everything on that. Granted, I was 17. If I lost everything, I was fine because I live with my parents, but that doesn't matter. Every other 17-year-old in America is given the same opportunity to go work at McDonald's and save up $2,000 and do exactly what I did.
Yeah.
There was no difference.
And
Absolutely
and
no
I
difference.
wanna stop you there because I'm
Yeah.
very good friends with your dad
Yeah.
and have been. We went to high school together.
Hmm.
I can validate what you just said. I know very well that he has not given you a penny, and
No.
nobody has, and so much so he barely understands how you're doing what you're doing. He's just there to support it, right? You know,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
and
Like,
so
it's
yeah,
not to say
but
my parents are I whenever I say that, my parents are so supportive.
yeah,
If I lost everything, my mom would have my room ready, like a little
right,
too ready,
yep, right,
ready to take me in. And so it's not necessarily that. And like, let's say I had needed money to start my business, my dad would have given me money, but you better bet I would have been paying him back.
yeah,
Like, he would never. A lot of kids get their college fund. I chose not to go to college. I didn't get the equivalent of college. I don't want it, first of all. I don't want handout from my parents. I mean, I want to be so successful that I can give them whatever they
I
want.
was gonna say
I fully
they're gonna be coming to you for money
I
before too long.
fully like, my dad is very successful, runs a very successful business, but I fully like hope to get to a point where I can like buy them a house one day, or like
Yeah,
just something crazy so that it's like, well, I
yeah,
beat you out. Sometimes my dad gets nervous. He's like, I don't know. I feel like after a couple more years, you might have me like totally beat.
yeah, yeah. Well, I want to go back to something you said because I know, especially, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have years of experience of like knowing how to navigate when people are talking bad about you, right? And so you're
Yeah, it's
learning
hard.
that in real time as a teenager about to turn 20, but you're dealing with that in real time. But I know, just hearing you talk, and I've known of you through your father and what you've been doing for a while, but I know it's important to you to inspire people, right?
Yeah, it
And
is.
that's what you're doing. And I can tell you, like, my daughter is 13. She just turned 13. I actually interviewed her as kind of a fun
I
podcast recently
saw
on
it.
here,
I
right?
saw it.
But she's a lot from the ass. She hates school, absolutely hates it. I hate it for her. I know it's not what she, wants to do, and it's not,
Mhm.
going and
I
sitting in a
felt like it was
classroom.
holding me back for so
Right.
long.
So, but I mean, it's part of it, and I've got to support that. But I look
Yeah.
at her and I look at what she's inspired by, and she sees things like what you're doing and other young females are doing that are unconventional, and she's inspired by that. And so lean in on that and
Yeah.
accept like that you're getting way more good positive results than, like you said, the people that are just behind a computer screen wanting to what for whatever reason, who cares what their
Yeah.
motivation is, but
Well, I think
it's just
some
noise,
people, I could see where it comes off as bragging. Here's the thing, like, people also need to understand, and the older generations don't understand that everything's clickbait. Like,
yep,
not that my sales aren't real, but like me showing the chaos, me showing tractor trailers pulling up, being like, POV, I just sold 1,000 items. Like, I understand it comes off braggy, but that's what people watch. Those videos get way more views than any other video where I'm acting all cute in my age
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. Like
Right.
people don't care. They wanna, and then they click on my page and then they go to my whatnot and they're like, what's this girl doing? Like this is crazy. She just sold $1 million in like a couple months, and like how's she doing it? They come to my show wanting to learn all the details and then end up buying something. So
Right.
it's marketing. It's a mix of my marketing strategies. It's a mix of wanting to inspire people. It's a mix of I want to post whatever the heck I want to post. And so yeah, like the biggest hate I feel like I get is probably just like people getting mad because I'm bragging, which whatever. People getting like trying to convince themselves that I'm not successful. Like, oh yeah, she's doing 4 million sales, but like how much of that is profit?
Yeah.
It's like,
Whatever.
look, I'm
Yeah.
doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
I don't talk about it because people, well, like it's not their business. And I know I kind of make it their business a little bit when I post my sales, but at the end of the day, I can turn my phone off at the end of the day and choose to respond to what I want to.
There you go.
But
Yep.
why would I continue to go live every day and do what I'm doing if it's not generating something
Yep.
good?
And so, like, now that you have scaled to where you have, and you mentioned it earlier, you're on a lot of calls with suppliers and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So now you've kind of graduated to this next level of like you're a big shot in this niche, right? And you're
Yeah,
getting
I would say so.
a lot of attention from some, big brands and stuff like that.
Yes. So
How
sometimes I'll have brokers that go out and find the deals. And
okay,
then sometimes the brands directly will contact me. So I do a little bit of both. And I'm
right.
sure as the more I grow, I'll have more of both.
Yeah,
Ideally, it's obviously better to work with the brand because when you have a broker, they are marking it up however much they want to. And so like, that's not always great. So
right.
everyone wants to cut out the middleman, but some of these middlemen have been in the business for 15, 20 years before I was born and have lots of really, really good connections in wholesale liquidation. So, like, a lot of the brokers I work with, they sell to like TJ Maxx. So it's like the same kind of like world. Like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I just got off the phone with TJ Maxx. And I'm like, oh, cool. And it's just like stuff like that. But, and like,
Yeah,
I'll like, the one day, like, I remember like the first, like, kind of like year of like being into live selling, it was just like so surreal because like I remember talking to this like supplier and he was like, oh yeah, like I just got off the phone with Steve, and I was like, oh, like who's Steve? He was like, Steve Madden. And I was like, oh, okay, like we're talking to Steve.
right.
Like it's just so funny. Like it was just kind of like a shock to me. And then like next thing you know, like I'm at Fashion Week and I'm like sitting across from Jeff Bezos, and everything just happened like so fast that I'm like, oh my God, this is like a crazy world.
And that's kind of my next question is how do you deal with again you're starting to get in these rooms and in these conversations with folks that I mean they might be three times your age and have three times the years of experience, 30 years of experience. How do you avoid having what they call imposter syndrome, like feeling like I don't belong here, or do you struggle with that at all?
I feel
Like
like I belong here more than them because I come in
perfect.
with that confidence.
Okay, perfect. That's
Like
great. Yeah.
people expect me, like especially like some of these like especially men, when they try to undermine me, it really pisses me off. But like this like one supplier, like he knew like if a deal, like sometimes stuff goes wrong, like it'll come in, it'll be damaged, and I'm like, what the heck? Because it's liquidation. Like you didn't tell me it was damaged. So like, and like he might see this, but like I was like, I called him. I was like, what the heck? And I think like I hadn't spoken to this specific supplier on the phone before, like just email exchanges. And like I'm going off like, you need like this is, I basically gave him like the situation of like everything I bought was flawed. I was like, this is not what you sold me. I will either send it all back and you'll send me the refund, the full refund, or I will accept it for this amount in cost. It would have been like a $15,000 refund or something like that.
Hmm.
And I was like, or I'm happy to send it back. I don't really care. So like I get on the phone and he's like, the way he's talking to me, and I'm not gonna cuss on here, but I was
I
like,
get it.
don't I was like, don't be an effing D
Right.
word. Like you
Right.
better back down. I'm not, because I'm not. And like I will whip them in their like I'm very respectful, but when it like if you're gonna try to like think that you can push me over, not over money,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, so that answers my question there. I can tell that because that can be, it happens with a lot of young people that, you know, work their way into a business where it has a lot of success, but they're very young relative to the people they're dealing with. So they can
Yeah.
feel this lack of confidence having these conversations and stuff like that. I can very
Yeah.
quickly see that you're not dealing with any of that. So that is
Mhm.
that's
I
a
mean,
very good trait.
I had some learning curves, like, for
Yeah.
sure, like, and especially, like, when I was, like, a little bit younger, because 'cause I've done like, I know it was only, like, a year and a half ago when I refer to some of these situations, but, like, I've
Yeah.
done so much growing in the last whatever bit. But, like, there were definitely times where it'd be like, "Oh my god," like, I don't know, like, they were just some of the suppliers I would work with, like, they were almost like they would, like, try to get in my business, they were kinda, like, infatuated with me, like, they wanted me in, like, multiple ways, and it was just, like it would get kinda weird
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yep.
and, like, I had, like, multiple suppliers that, like, when I first was, like it's kinda like when, like, Taylor Swift or whatever was, like, first whatever getting her start, like, there's all these people who, like, want her to, like, kinda sign, her rights away to her,
Yeah.
like, whatever. So I had a lot of people try to, like, take that opportunity, and I was like, "No," because my business is my baby. I would never like, I don't care if someone was like, "Here's $10 million in funding, and just for exchange of whatever percent," I'd be like, "No. No, thank you. I don't need
Yeah.
you." I feel
Well,
like very I don't know why, because I didn't grow up this way about men, but I think maybe in the last couple years, I'm like, I don't need any men. Like,
right. Well, that's a separate conversation outside of, the business side of it,
yeah.
because I mean, you are 19, you still have a life to live and grow into and stuff like
Oh, like
that.
for sure.
Right.
I
Yeah.
definitely want a husband one
Right.
day.
Yeah.
I want him to cook for me and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but what, kind of, and take my advice, probably the same thing you're hearing from your dad and any of his other friends and stuff, but like, don't sign things away. Don't
Yeah.
make decisions thinking that what you're doing is enough. It's more than
Mhm.
enough. And you said it earlier, you could sit here for the next 5 to 10 years doing exactly what you're doing. And by the time you're in your upper 20s, be done. Have enough cash in the bank to just
Yeah.
be creative with, live off that, or just continue doing other things that you're passionate. So
Yeah.
don't don't give up control. I don't care
No,
what is
I
thrown at you.
definitely
Do
won't.
not,
And
I
for
mean,
anyone, I guess, like anyone listening who's interested in like what I do see as my 10-year plan, I don't think I'll ever fully be able to retire,
right,
like fully, because I just love what I do and that's what makes it so great. And for anyone listening, like if you love what you do, then you never really want to quit it.
right.
So what I'll probably do is so the next 10 years I plan to just kind of like go hard with it. Like
Yeah,
kind of how I'm doing. Like 4 million a year in sales for the next like whatever 10
right,
years. And if it happens to scale bigger, then I guess it'll happen, whatever. I'm
right.
not like actively like, how can I like, but I think like just with what I'm doing every day, the more and more I work with suppliers, the more and more I buy, like it will start to scale anyways. Um, but my 10-year plan would be to like just work hard, and then by the time I'm like 30 is when I want to like get married and have kids. And then I kind of at that point when I have kids want to like really step away cuz I want to be the one to raise my kids. Like
Yeah,
I want to
love it.
raise them. I want to raise them traditionally. I know it sounds like I'm like not traditional, but I actually like I loved the way I was raised. I feel like it was very traditional and I do want to raise my kids traditionally. So, if I can just make a bunch of money, put it in the bank, invest, and then just like be able to like I don't want anyone who's not family raising my kids. Like
Yeah,
totally fine to let my mom like have as much time as she wants.
right.
But like I want to keep it in the family because I don't want to send my kid to daycare and I don't like school is one thing, but like especially like when they're like 1 to 5, like I want to spend that time and like financially I could have as many kids as I want right now. I mean, not as many kids, but I could afford to have a kid, but I don't want one because I'm so focused on my business that like I couldn't focus on like a child. So
Right.
10 years I want to be married, have kids, and then just be able to focus on them and then maybe do like 2 shows a week and then like the live streams and then have maybe another streamer at that point who does like the other amount of
Yeah.
time.
You have, and I don't know if you've thought this way too, but I know you're, one thing you seem very motivated by is inspiring young women, young girls and stuff like that, like my daughter and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, you there's a piece of this where like you would probably enjoy if you have not thought about it, but like some type of coaching and mentoring platform, where you can, I mean, you can monetize that too, where you can get some of these young girls that are 16, 17, trying to follow what Caitie is doing and get them started and maybe, becoming a part of what you're doing. And I don't know if you've thought that way, but
I
that's some
have
possibility as well.
I have, but I also feel like there's been like a lot of I think my time would at this point is worth more than what I could get out of mentoring.
Okay.
Also, for
Mhm.
starters, and then second of all, I feel like it's hard because especially in like my business, there has been people who's done courses and mentoring, but then like if people don't become like super successful from it, then they like come back and like blame you for it
Yeah.
or like you're the
Yeah.
problem or
We see that
it
in
can
real
come
estate a
off
lot, so yeah.
depending on who's doing the course, it can come off kind of scammy.
Yeah.
And like I don't want people to like instead, right now, I post like a lot of free advice. So like
Yeah.
so that people will watch my videos. And honestly, I just want them the best advice I could give to anyone like thinking about doing something like this is just to like come to my show and watch it. See
Right.
if it's something you actually like. And then when some people will be like, I want to buy a pallet. And it's like, no, you really should not. This is how people get themselves in financial situations. If you want to learn to resell, you should do exactly what I did. You should go to the thrift store, buy a couple pieces of clothing, go list it on Poshmark and see if you even like doing this. Because people will go spend like $50,000 buying all this clothes, and then it's like they can't sell it, and then they realize they don't even like doing it. So it's
Yep.
like, all right, slow down. But you're not gonna snap your fingers and do what I'm doing. Like it's not gonna happen.
Right.
You have to genuinely. It's such a hard job. It takes so much out of me like a 3-hour show, I know it doesn't seem like much. Like people go work an 8-hour day, but 3 hours of giving your all, like your energy, like trying to, like, it's running an entire show. It's like doing a Broadway show. Like you're putting on a show. And like, let's say I'm having the worst day ever. And this is why they say like Broadway actors are the most depressed people. Because if you're having the worst day ever, you have to go on and do that show
Perform.
and be
Yep.
happy for everyone else.
Yep.
And sometimes masking your feelings can just be like kind of brutal. So I have to like honestly like I don't really talk to anyone for like 20 minutes after my show cuz I used to just snap at people. Like I'm so like hyped up on energy, like such an adrenaline rush that I'm like like don't touch me, don't talk to me, don't look at me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, but like it takes so much out of me. And like if I'm having a bad day and then I have a bad show, it's like, oh God, you don't
Well,
want to talk to me.
I can like these podcast recordings. I'll do a couple a week, but it does require focus and energy. But most of the time, I can just turn it like you. I can just let you go, and I'm not really having to talk that much. You're
Yeah.
talking about. I couldn't imagine for 3 hours, no feedback. You're not getting people talking back to you. You're just blah 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 for
Well, so
three hours,
people are typing in the chat. So
but
they'll
you're
be like,
talking the whole time,
yeah,
right?
so
Yeah,
and like someone last night was like, this is amazing how you're talking about the size, the product, and talking to us at the same time. So it's like 10 seconds. So I'll be like, okay, like we're running this black sweater size small. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, like how was y'all's New Year's? All right, 5, 4, 3. Oh, that's amazing. 2, 1. Okay, next item is a size small. Oh, you did that? That's so fun. And I'm just like, cause I'm interacting with them. Like I'll be
yeah.
like, okay, where's everyone tuning in from? Ooh, Chicago. Okay, like this is Kashmir. All right, we're done. And it's just like the whole time, and they're like, how are you doing this so fast? Telling us all the details and talking to us. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm a trained professional.
You're
Like,
you're creating a frenzy. I mean, it's what you're doing, and it's
mhm.
which the mod like that 10 seconds. Have you played around with longer? Oh,
Yeah, so I've done shorter and longer. I've
okay,
done 5 seconds, and sometimes I will do 5 seconds with of the higher starting price. And it
okay.
only works with some brands. So I recently got in a brand called OGL, it was athletic wear. I did $10 starts, 5 seconds sudden death. I was able to sell 500 items in about an hour and a half, just from auction, which normally would take me
Mhm,
like 3 hours. I've done 15 seconds sudden death. I found that it honestly, like, if anything, people impulse buy a little bit more with 10
mhm.
seconds because they're
Yeah,
just like with 15, it gives them a little bit too much time to think. It's kind of like how certain stores will like turn music up really loud while you're
Yeah.
shopping. Like
Yeah.
Hollister's notorious for that because you just like it like kind of messes up with your thinking. I'm not trying to like manipulate people, but
Right.
it's really just so that I can move volume faster.
Yeah.
And it's just getting the bids quicker, like making more money in less amount of time. And I have definitely played around. Like I do something called sudden death, meaning no time gets added. So in some auctions you'll bid, and then if someone bids in the last 10 seconds, it adds another 10 seconds.
Okay.
But I do something called sudden death, meaning no time gets added. Last person to bid on second one wins the
Gets it.
item.
Yeah.
So Whatnot does have a feature called max bid. So if I'm holding up a sweater and you really like it, you can max bid it. It's like a robot that bids for you up into a certain point. Because some people are like, oh my God, I don't want to like, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
like if I'm bidding on Whatnot, I use the max bid feature. But yeah, so I've played around with lots of different timers, 30
Yeah.
second non-sudden death. And sometimes like if I get really nice designer, like I've gotten Balenciaga in, I've gotten like Off-White, like designer, I'll do like a very curated show. Like I mess around with anything that
Hmm.
makes me money, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So like I'll do like a curated show, 100 pieces, very like high end, 30 seconds, not sudden death. I really talk about the piece, materials, blah, 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 and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a fun question for you because
Okay.
this just popped in my head as like I'm looking behind you. You're at your house today, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So, are you in a neighborhood or do you have neighbors within eyesight of your house?
So right now I can see one neighbor
Okay.
because the trees have like fallen, all the leaves.
Okay.
I have 5 acres,
All right.
and the way my land is it's a long driveway, and I'm in the back. So I have a really cute little old couple that lives next to me, and they're the only ones I can see. I've yet to see them outside, but like once.
So, where I'm going with this is you you said when you moved in there originally you were having shipments coming to
Oh,
the house
sorry.
or
Okay. So here's the timeline. I started
okay.
at my parents' house, moved to an apartment, moved from an apartment to a neighborhood with an HOA.
That's where I
Yes.
want to yeah, okay. That's where I'm going.
Okay. So I'm in the neighborhood. So I'm in my house. I don't sell anything out of my personal house anymore.
Okay.
I lived in the HOA neighborhood for a year running out of there. It took such a mental toll on me. So I was like, when I buy this new house, I will not put any inventory in here.
Okay.
So I'm living in this house and I drive to the other house I call my office to do
Okay.
the shows. The neighbors there hate me.
That's
And
where I'm going. That's the fun question. I wanted
I
to know
don't blame them.
when they see this 19-year-old young girl coming in there
They're
with
pissed.
tractor trailer loads of pallets coming in every day, and then the post office coming to pick up all these
Yeah.
packages. What kind of feedback are you
So
getting?
so they really don't like me and I don't blame them and I feel really bad and I've been very like I have all their numbers cuz I didn't even in the last year my business grew so much from what it was when I first moved in there that like I didn't expect to have 10 pallets sitting in the driveway for USPS to come pick up. And so I've been very like communicative with them about like so I'm building like a warehouse, like a building kind of situation. And so I've been very like communicative with them about the fact that I am almost out of there.
Yeah.
Very sorry. And I brought all the wives in the cul-de-sac, like little goodie bags. But they hate me still, and
Right.
they still report me to HOA all the time.
Yeah.
But HOA only kind of tuned into it in the last 3 months, and I haven't gotten the warning of like a fine yet. So I think like by the time I start maybe actually getting fines, I'll be like totally out of there. My building, the structure, because the concrete's poured, was supposed to go up tomorrow, but with all the snow, I doubt that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like end of week they'll put the structure up. And then from there, because my dad's a builder, he's gonna build out the like inside. He's kind of
Yep.
like so that'll be cool.
I'm
But I've
laughing. I'm laughing because I'm picturing all of these women
oh
sitting
yeah,
around
HOA moms.
drinking wine, talking about this new girl that is probably from the mafia or something like that
Yeah,
running.
they hate me.
Yeah, it's so funny, but
And
yeah,
I'm always like very dressed up because of my shows. They're probably like so
yeah.
pissed off. Like, I'm
But
sorry.
so of everything you've done, so you're 7 years into this journey, and it has gotten to a point where like you could be content. We've talked about that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
rolling, and you're doing your thing. Um, do you like? I know you have your parents. I know you have some mentors. but you've gotten to a point now where this is a business. This isn't
Yeah.
a little side hustle. Like, you have a legitimate business that is bigger than most businesses around, and you're 19. How do you manage, like, the business side of it, the finances? What training have you had there? Do you have mentors? Do you have folks that are kind of helping you develop a business plan and a P&L statement and stuff like
Like,
that? How
honestly, so I have a bookkeeper and I have an accountant, and I sometimes like will meet with my dad in his office, or
Yeah.
more so he'll be like, come to the
Right,
office.
right,
It's
right.
like a kid, and like I feel like I'm in a principal's office sometimes. He'll be like, come by my office today, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
But it's I hated math, but it comes super natural. It's just like buying and selling. Like, okay, if I'm buying this for $10 an item, I know I at least want to double my money. And if it's not a double, I don't buy it. And then
Mhm.
I also don't spend more than I have. It's kind of common sense. Like, nothing in my business is too crazy to where it like needs whatever. But like, I have a bookkeeper. She's in all my accounts. She sees everything coming in and out. She knows my profit and loss. She sends that to my accountant. We look it all over and we're good.
Simple. Yep. No,
I
that's
just send the money when it's time and I sell and blah, blah, blah.
yeah. No, I mean, that you've answered my question there. Just,
Mhm.
it's, again, building the team that does the things that
Yeah.
you
And
could
I
do
still have
easily,
so
but
much
right.
to like build around. Like I just recently hired someone on who's gonna help really like run the operation so that when we hire more people on that they plan out the scheduling for me and like because now like if there's an issue they're calling me. I want to move away from that.
Mhm.
Like because it's I get it, but like they have to call me, but like sometimes it just disturbs my peace.
Yeah.
Or I'm on the phone with a supplier and I can't answer them, so I'll have to be like, please text me. So like it'll be really nice to have someone who is just like kind of like is a second me and just like really good at the operation side of things. So
Right.
I'm really
So
excited about that.
I love everything you're doing. I've been fascinated by it for a while. Like, hearing your story now in more detail. I'm relating everything to, like, my 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter, and
Yeah.
and so the last question I have has nothing to do with your business. You've done
Okay.
a fantastic job describing what you do, how you do it, how you've grown it. I want you to speak, because I would say most of my audience is, like, in my age, my generation. So they have kids that are, young to teenage years and stuff like that. One of the big struggles I have had as a parent, and I know a lot of my network does, and people my age, is struggling when to release their kids into the social media world, right? Like, when to allow their
Mhm.
kids to have Instagram and Facebook, or whatever the hot thing
Yeah.
is now, even have a cell phone. So, I want to hear it from the perspective of you being a 19-year-old that grew up with social media, grew up with the internet,
Yeah.
and you had these things. You mentioned earlier, in second grade you had an Instagram account.
Yeah. So social media is so different than it was then.
Okay.
That's the biggest issue. So like when I was younger, my parents would try to restrict Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and it used to make me so mad, which it would every kid. And like I'm gonna like from my perspective, and this is like probably the take I'm gonna have with my kids because it's not the same anymore. And like I don't know because like they can learn so much from social media. I'm really hoping that in the next years they have some more like informative social medias. They're kind of trying to like do that with TikTok. They're trying to like get it bought out and kind of dumb it down less, I think. But like
Mhm.
TikTok is really bad for your kids. I will 100% say that. They're not
Right,
doing anything on there they should be, and
right,
it's brain rot. It literally
right.
is. I almost wish it will get banned so that I can not go on there. Um it also just like depends on the social media. Like I'm speaking to every single parent when I tell you that your kid is doing, and I'm sorry to rat out the kids, but they're doing nothing good on Snapchat. Absolutely nothing good on Snapchat. And I don't know how it is now. I just know how it was like when I was in middle school and high school and what us kids did on there. Anything that disappears
Yeah,
immediately after
not
you
good.
send it is
Right.
not good.
Yep.
So, and then it just depends on the social medias. Like Facebook is, I feel like it's more of like a family app. So whatever about Facebook. Instagram, it's Instagram is my favorite social media. I would say that's like probably the least of your worries, but at the end of the day, everything in moderation. Like whatever you're gonna do with your kid, it's fine. But like you don't want them sitting on their phone doing just scrolling. It's so bad for their mental health. And the way social media is now, and I'm so strongly about this because it pisses me off so much, is it's just like Instagram models and just people showing like what their life looks like. And it's not it's people like they face tune everything, they edit their bodies, like everything that these like
Yeah.
especially like you have a daughter who's like 12, 13. She's seeing some of these like girls on there thinking like that's how she should look, and then they
Right.
tear themselves apart, and then it's really like it bothers me, it irks me on a deep level.
Yeah,
um
I'm with you, and I like our daughter. We when she turned 13, we agreed to let her get an Instagram account,
yeah,
but it was with like, which I think is pretty cool because Instagram. I mean, like we have full control over that account,
yeah,
meaning we can see who she follows. Any follow request comes through my wife, or stuff like that.
yeah, she can see.
But it also limits her usage to an hour a day. So we can set so
Perfect.
as soon as she hits an hour, it shuts her out. She can't even be in there anymore. And that was my biggest thing. I didn't want the constant hours and hours at night
a
laying in
hundred
bed.
percent
So
It's
that
not
yeah,
bad. Like, it's good for them to connect with their friends. It's the
yeah,
new way of life. We can't prevent that.
right.
And they should be familiar with social medias
Yep.
because it is our future.
Yep.
So you shouldn't, I do not advise that parents take away social media
Right.
because, like, completely, because it is our future. Like, it 100% is. People, like, a lot of these jobs, like, people going into marketing now, marketing is social media.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, but I think moderation and just like looking at the content they're consuming. Like if they're under 18, they are you get to control them. Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, you should give them a life, but like no, what their phone
Yeah.
is your phone.
And that just comes through. I mean, you got to communicate. Like we have very open communication with our daughter about like this is like it's not that we don't trust you. It's there's a lot of stuff out here and people out there
A
that we
hundred
don't
percent.
trust, and we just have to moderate that because you don't know what you don't know yet, and so we've got to
Yeah.
help you in there. But I mean, she is her and my mom, her grandmother are. They're going to start a cooking show on YouTube, right? So they're going
Oh,
to
that's so
my
cute.
my mom loves to cook. She wants to learn to cook from my mom, so they're gonna video themselves making recipes and stuff like that. And I even had
Yeah.
trouble with that. I was like, I don't know if I want that out there, but I was like,
No, that's cute.
if we moderate it and just make sure it's good and all that, so we're gonna let them roll with that. So that'll be fun. But
And
yeah,
like one last point I want to make is like I don't want to I'm not necessarily trying to like encourage younger people to do exactly what I'm doing. If they like it, then that's great. Like go
yeah,
for it. But it's more so the point of like do what you love. It'll come natural. A lot of people like when they turn 17, 18, 19, they're freaking out like I need to know exactly what I like need to be doing. And you really don't. Like it will come naturally. I didn't expect it to come so soon, but it did, and I would not want to do anything else. And everyone has their niche and everyone will find it.
yeah, and I think I mean that's a great point to kind of wrap things up on, and you've hit
Mhm.
on several whether you know it or not, you're hitting on several very like strong principles that every not just a teenager needs to know, but folks my age that are starting in business or trying to scale a business. The biggest one you've hit on that I can't scream it enough how important it is, but figure out what you're good at and what you're passionate
Mhm.
about or passionate in, lean
Yep.
into it, and then hire the rest as you're able to do it. I mean, there's every new
Yeah.
business, there's going to be, a time where you don't have the capital to delegate and hire things. So you do have to wear all the hats. But the
That is
quicker,
why you have to love what you do though.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So you're a great example of that. You're an inspiration, not just to young girls that are sitting at home wanting to know what they're doing with their lives, but you're an inspiration for folks like me, your dad, folks our age that are, I mean, there's a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom that we can learn from a young teenager like yourself who
Mhm.
is a girl boss. I mean, you wear that flag
Mhm.
very proudly, and It's very inspiring. So Caitie, I appreciate you taking the time to come on
Yeah.
here, and share your story. It's Folks are going to hear it. They're still not going to understand how you blew it up so fast. They might not believe it, but I'm here to say I know it. I kind of have a front row seat through your family and through your dad,
Mhm.
and it's been fun to watch. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
Yeah.
Yep. So with that, we'll wrap this up. Another episode of Burning the Ships. And Caitie, good luck with everything you have going on.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to see your growth and where everything goes. So
Thank you.
yep. What a phenomenal conversation. I'm still trying to wrap my head around, we've we just talked to a 19-year-old young lady who 7 years ago, 12 years old, out of her parents' garage was, reselling stuff out of her mom's closet and from thrift stores and stuff like that, and has grown this thing to essentially a $5 million business. And she's done it herself with some mentorship, but I mean, it is fascinating to hear her story and her energy. My gosh, did she bring the energy? And it got me fired up. It's anytime I get to talk to someone who is as passionate about what they are doing as she clearly is, I get fired up and reignite it with my own passion, because that's what this podcast is all about. you know Burning the ships. She hadn't burned any ships. She's building a ship, right? She's building a mega yacht with what she's doing. But overall, like, what we're trying to do here is share people's passion and inspire folks. And if that doesn't inspire um, folks who, I don't care what age you are, you don't have to be a teenager to be inspired by that. I'm inspired, and I'm in my 40s, and I'm ready to get after it. And like, she covered some very, very principled things that we could all learn a lesson from. Lean into the things that excite you. Lean into the things that you're good at. Lean into the things you're passionate about, and then the rest will take care of itself. And she's doing that. I hope you guys got as much out of that as I did. I am just fascinated by everything she's got going on, and I get kind of a closer view than most to it because of my relationship with her father, and very close to him. And it's great to watch, and I'm going to enjoy watching her growth and continued success in this business. I encourage everybody. We're going to drop all of our links and stuff in the show notes, but her Instagram handle for folks that are on Instagram is Caitie Co. Caiti. Let me start over there. CATIECO. And that's on Instagram. Go follow her there. She's putting out daily content, kind of documenting what she's doing with this business and all the good and the bad. She doesn't hold anything back, and it's all there to see. And then we'll drop that link along with her Whatnot link, which is the platform that she does all these live auctions on. So go and check out a show. You don't have to buy anything, but just go and check out one of her shows and see what it's all about, because it's pretty fascinating. And with that, as always, we're sponsored by 608B Capital, which is our lending company. It's a short-term lending company, a real estate debt fund. We offer 8 to 12% returns to passive investors, accredited investors. And then we take that capital and use it for short-term loans for fix and flippers and things of that nature. So if you have a need or any interest in anything like that, reach out to us. We'll be glad to have that conversation with you. And as always, I ask, please click whatever your platform you're watching or listening on. Please subscribe or rate us or like us or whatever is available to do on that platform, because it certainly helps us get this out in front of more people. And share it. Copy the link wherever you're listening and share it on social media. Share it with a friend. Whatever you can do will be much appreciated by us, because it just helps us continue to get this out there, this all-in mentality, this passion, everything that we're trying to inspire. If any little bit you can do to help us will be much appreciated. So with that, we'll conclude another episode of Burning the Ships, presented by 608B Capital. Hope you all have a great week.